Hi everybody, welcome back. Now this is a very nice piece of elm, but it does have some significant issues. As you can see from the pith area, we have a lot of cracking going on both sides, so there's a reasonable chance that that goes all the way through. And also on the top, we've got an awful lot of lighter wood, which is spalting slightly, and that lighter wood is very soft. I can pull it out with my fingernails, as you can see. So I'm thinking that we might be able to save this and enhance it with resin. So we're going to set up for that, but before I do anything, I have to get rid of a lot of this loose material on the top, because we don't want to leave that on when we start adding the resin. Right, to do this, I'm just going to attack it with a wire brush and a little pick, and we'll get off as much as we can. Okay, and that's now cleaned up as much as we need to. You can certainly see the amount of spalting in this piece, and all this piece is generally quite soft, so what I'm hoping is that the resin is going to firm it up and let us turn this into a beautiful piece. Right, I'm going to set up for making the mould, and I shall bring you back in a second. Okay, I've got everything ready that we need. I've got a piece of plywood, just a thin piece, covered in waterproof tape, and we're going to sit our elm on top of that, put a bead of silicone around the side, and then encase it in this piece of salvaged plastic. Now before I put this on, I am going to put a little bit of silicone on here just so it holds it firmly in place. Now the first time I tried this a few weeks ago, we used hot glue, and one thing we've definitely found out is that hot glue does not always hold in resin, especially not deep pour resin, so we're not going to use hot glue again. Okay, that's in place. I'll put a bead of silicone round. Okay, now one thing before I go any further is I'm wanting to try and experiment more with colour separation. The last couple of pours I've done haven't been entirely successful with colour separation. It's more to me getting used to this new type of resin I'm using with the Let's Resin than anything else. So what I'm going to do is on this side where this crack is, I'm going to put some silicone up the side, so initially when I pour in, one colour will go into here, and then hopefully another colour will go into that side. It may not be needed, but I want to just try it to see if we can keep the colours separate, or as separate as possible. I'm going to try and keep the edges of the plastic away from where these cracks are. Let's see if we can hold it there and put a bead up here. Less flexible plastic's probably a very good idea. Another pair of hands. Right, if I hold that there, oh my goodness. Yay! Oh, we slipped off. Right, we're on. That's going to hold firm. Right, I'm going to quickly go and dash and get some tape before this all comes off again. Just going to quickly smooth this round, make sure it's all in the gap. And we'll let this set, and then we'll start with the resin. You know what? One of these days, I'm going to make a mould and it's all going to go so smoothly and cleanly, without a mess, and we shall have a party. But until then, we'll just carry on. Right, I'll bring you back when this is set and we're mixing up the resin. Okay, we're about ready to start mixing up some resin. Now, I'm going to be using the same deep pour epoxy from Let's Resin. It's worked brilliantly so far, so there's no reason not to keep using it. And also they sent me through 36 different mica colour powders to have a go at. So we're going to choose a couple of these, which I hope will suit the piece we're going to be working on. Right, we'll look at that in a second. Now, also what they've managed to send me is this little electronic mixer, which is going to be interesting to try. Mixing is always one of those things that you have to be very, very careful of with resin, and this machine seems to do the job pretty well. A quick look at it. It comes complete with lots of cups as well. The cup has all the measurements for all the different resins on the side. This sits in with the click of a button. It mixes it for you. You can recharge it off a USB, so that's pretty handy. Right, so we're going to give that a go. So first of all, we need to mix up 2 batches of resin. Okay, so this particular resin, the deep pour, is done on a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's 2 parts of A to 1 part of B. Okay, so 50% of that to 100% of that. So let's have a look at our gauges and figure out how we're going to measure this. I think millilitres is going to be our preferred unit. So I was thinking of measuring 600 millilitres of each one. So I want to fill, first of all, both containers up to 400 ml of part A, and then the last 200 ml will make up with part B. This resin is best stored at room temperature, so I've always kept it in the house. I'll top each one up to 600 using part B. There we go. Okay, let's see how this gets on. That's so much easier. Right, I want to give this a couple of minutes in each one to make sure it's thoroughly mixed, and then we'll add colours. Okay, I didn't read the instructions. It automatically turns off when it's thoroughly mixed. That took me by surprise. What a clever idea. There we go. I'll just take this off for now. I'm just going to let this sit on a piece of plastic, because I'm going to be using this again in a second. Okay, right, let's take a look at the colours. Now, elm is quite a dark wood once it's finished, so I think I want a couple of medium to dark colours. Okay, the 2 I've chosen are coffee and dark green. I think the combination of these are going to be striking, hopefully, but also go well with the colour of the elm. So now all these come with safety film on, so I'll get a little knife. I won't try and pick it with my fingers, it would mean taking my gloves off. Okay, actually one thing I do appreciate about these colours is that they come with 2 little caps, a bit like a salt cellar. You either have small hold side for using small amounts, or a slightly larger one for tipping out larger amounts. That's nice. So I'll use the larger one. I'm going to use pretty much a full teaspoon, or a few full, whatever this size is, of each colour. I want the colour quite strong. Okay, that's the coffee. And this is the dark green. Okay, let's get my little mix back. That is so cool. Right. I'll examine that in a second if I think it's strong enough colour. It might need a bit more. Now there's still a little bit of green on here, but it's not going to matter too much if I just mix a little bit of that in with the coffee colour. Okay, I have gone and put some more green in the green, so I'll just do the same with this one. Okay, excellent. Now, one of the main reasons for mixing two colours, I want to try and find out what it takes, or the best way of mixing these but still keeping a reasonable colour separation. And a lot of people were suggesting, and I completely agree with them, is that I mixed initially the resins together without them having a chance to sit for a while. Now, this deep pour resin has a maximum working time of 80 minutes. In other words, you can mix it and then leave it for 80 minutes before using it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to tidy up all the mess I've made, then let these sit for 80 minutes and then come back and then we'll pour them. Okay, it's been 80 minutes, so it's time to start pouring. Now I'll just put a couple of straws on the side for the moment, just to make it easier for me to pour in to the very edge a couple of these colours. So we'll start off with the coffee. So that's seeping down nicely. I'll try and get down the straw, but and then I'll just make a complete mess of it. While that's finding its way home, I'll try and do the same on the other side with the other colour. Okay, it's going to be a little bit difficult, more difficult than I thought to get it into the corners, so I'm going to go with my second plan, which is potluck. It's a test on how well these can keep separate, and they've both had 80 minutes to sit, so pouring in from the side. Let's see how it goes. Nothing ventured and all that. Okay. Just take that straw out as it's not needed. Right, I'm going to leave it in the garage for I think tonight, and then move it into the house tomorrow, and we'll see how we get on. I will come back and check on it tonight to make sure that there's still enough resin in the top to fill up where I need it to fill down the bottom. But we'll see. Keep your fingers crossed, and I'll bring you back when it's all sorted. Okay, 4 days later, this is what we're left with. And the best news, before we do anything, is that it didn't leak. It is exactly the same state as when we put it into this pot. That makes me happy. Right, so let's get this off. Okay, well, building the mould was a complete disaster, but taking it out wasn't half bad. What a beautiful thing. So it seems a shame just to do anything with it. You just polish it and leave it as a doorstop or something like that. But that's not the point of the channel. Now we've just got a little bit of a gap there, which I think the silicone I put on it has obviously stopped it getting into that bit, so we'll see how that looks when we start turning. Now initially, that's where all the wood is. That's going to be the base of this piece. I think initially I'm going to turn it between centres, turn a small tenon on this end so I can turn it round, sort out the base, put a recess in there, then turn it back around and do all the major shaping. That seems like a pretty decent plan. Right, we'll do that. Okay, we're on the lathe, we're all set up. I'm going to start off with a bowl gouge to start getting this round. I'm using a bowl gouge because the majority of this is wood. I probably will be swapping to a carbide at some point, but I think we can start safely with a bowl gouge. Initially, we can start turning at 800 RPM. Okay, I know I'm soft, but I'm putting a glove on because having these little shards hitting the back of your fingers really hurts. Right, we'll carry on. That silicone really stopped that area, didn't it? Okay, we're going to have to fill that with something a little bit later on. Right, I was going to quickly sharpen up it again, and we shall continue. Okay, that's got it nice and round. We still do have this issue of this hole, which was caused, I think, by the silicone when we filled it. But apart from that, the resin has done very, very well. The spalted areas around here are all nice and firm, which is fantastic. Now we've got to try and decide what we're going to do with it. It was my intention initially to put a tenon on here, turn it round, put a recess or something on the bottom, turn it round again and make a nice little vase. But this is throwing me a little bit. Yes, I could refill it, but then the video doesn't come out for Tuesday, and if you watch my video on Sunday, you know time's against me, so I want to make something of this now. So I think the best thing I can do is I'm going to turn this into a pot. I'm going to turn it with a lid. Now this hole here, that's going to be the join area between the top and the bottom. Now that's the most beautiful area. Getting lower down here, it's not as nice, except for this area here. So I think this is going to be the top of the pot, and this is going to be the bottom. That's a crazy idea, but it might just work. Everybody tends to put the resin majority at the top, and I think that it might look just as nice flipped. Okay, right, let's do that. How do we do that? Okay, in order to make this work, I'm going to put a small tenon on the top and the bottom, so I can cut it in half and still be able to hold these two pieces. Right, so tenon, tenon, chop. Okay, I've put the tenons on both ends, but I've kind of stumped myself with how to finish the bottom once I've hollowed out the inside. I could use a jam chuck, but that's not ideal with resin. So I think I'm gonna put this end into jaws and put a recess in here instead. Back in a chuck, nice and safe, so I can put a recess in this side. Okay, that's the recess in. Needs a bit of sanding. You're not going to believe this, but I think I'm going to change my mind again. I really like the thought of this being the bottom. So it is going to be the bottom, but it's not going to be the bottom of the pot. It's going to be the bottom of a vase. So I'm going to start turning up the sides to create a nice little shape here that we can lead it into the top. Then we'll sand this area, turn it around and do the top bit. I know I'm changing my mind, but my mind's going all over the place at the moment. If you haven't watched my video I released on Sunday, then you won't quite know yet, but we're losing this workshop and our house. Our landlord's given us notice and we've got to get out. So this is one of the last few pieces that we're going to be turning in here. So if my mind seems a little bit wayward, then that's why. Right, let's put a nice curve on here. I don't want to turn the side quite yet without some more support, so I'm just going to shove a piece of maple in there, squeeze up my tool rest, sorry, my tailstock, and that'll help give us a bit of stability while making these curves. Okay, that's a nice curve, that's good enough. Right, I'm going to quickly sand this bottom and then we shall turn it round. I'll not bother making you watch this little bit because there's going to be plenty of sanding later on. Okay, so I've sanded the base, I'm going to turn round now on a nice strong pair of jaws. Now I'm looking at this, wondering what to do next. I've got this big hole in here and I would love to fill it, but that means that this video won't come out on Tuesday, and with everything else I've got going on with the house move and the shop move and everything else, I need to find an alternative. So I'm going to cheat. What I'm going to do is attempt to try and find a form in here which would allow me to take that down an awful lot into a narrower neck. So I'm thinking a kind of a ball shape base and then out to a nice neck. So let's start working in from here, see how deep that goes. I've just sharpened up again so we can get cracking. Okay, I can see the bottom of that hole, so we're on the right line, so I just need to go and sharpen up so we can carry on. We're so nearly there. I'm really starting to like this form. I'm just going to sharpen up once more just to refine these areas and take us down this last little bit. But I think we've saved it. Well, I think I've saved myself. So, okay, right, carry on. Okay, we've got all the big areas sorted. Now I still do have a few areas which have appeared, which have obviously been so deep into the crack, they wouldn't fill all the way up. Little air bubbles just got stuck, so I'm just going to drip a bit of thin CA glue into it. Just hit it with a little bit of activator. That one may go all the way through. Right, I'll come back to that one. I think it does go all the way through. Put a bit of tissue to stop it dripping out, and of course, tissue's stuck to it. Okay. Okay, I'll turn this back, get rid of that paper. Okay, it's been a week since I last did any work on this piece because I had a little chat to myself and I kind of realised that I wasn't being fair to myself, to my family and to you lot as well. I was trying to rush this to meet the Tuesday deadline, a deadline which is only imposed on myself by myself, and I kind of was losing track of the things that are important because of all your overwhelming messages on my post last Sunday. I decided just to walk away from this and take care of everything I needed to take care of in the house. So no more rushing this piece. We're going to sort these holes properly and then we shall finish it off. One of the mistakes I made when I was rushing was that I'd put too much accelerator on the CA glue, and you can see the white bits in there. That's all the build-up, the foaming that happens when you use too much accelerant. So I'm going to get my knife out, cut these pieces out. I can't pick it out because it's too hard. So I'm going to clear all these holes, and then we're going to make up an epoxy resin. We're going to use milliput, we're going to colour it, and then we're going to put it in these holes. Okay, that's looking much better. I've got the majority of the white out. Any residue is deep enough that when we finish this off, that won't be seen. So I'm going to mix up a bit of milliput. Now, if you've not seen this before, this is an epoxy putty. And when you mix the colour with the hardener, it gives like a plasticine kind of material that you can mould. You can colour a little bit, and when it dries, it becomes rock hard. You can sand it, turn it, do anything you want to it. So I'm going to get a little bit of this. It's a little bit hard because it's been in the workshop for a while. Ideally, this is best left in the house. I want an equal amount of each. And then you knead it together. The warmer it gets in the hand, the easier it is to knead. Okay, that's about ready. It's a nice uniform colour, so you know it's all nicely mixed. Now, the colouring in this area is predominantly the coffee colour we used. So I'm just going to get a little bit of the coffee mica powder. I'll use the sprinkle side of this. And just keep on adding little bits of this to the mix until I get a colour which closely resembles. I'm not going to get it spot on, but we can kind of interpret the colour it is. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Right, I'm going to break off small bits and start cramming it into these holes. I'm going to use a little pick to try and push it down into the hole as far as I can to make sure we get a good adhesion as possible. Okay, that's got it. I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours. And we shall come back, turn it flat, and start worrying about the next part. Right. Okay, right, we've had 24 hours since we've put the milliput in. It's nice and firm. So I'm just going to turn over the top and get rid of the excess. Turning speed, you can get quite quick now. So it's about 1300 RPM. That's looking pretty good. Now I've got a couple of lumps in this area here, which I just need to quickly sort out, and then we can move on to the next stage. It's looking good. We've got a nice curve on there now. We need to do some sanding. We also need to hollow out, but I think I'll do some sanding first, and then I shall let you watch some of it, and I shall bring you back when it's all done. Okay, sanding went well. Just going to clean it off with a bit of isopropyl. And then I'm going to put a sanding sealer on it. And then I'm going to go over the top with an abrasive paste. Okay, I'm using a cellulose sanding sealer. It won't darken the wood anymore, but it'll give us a nice protective layer for us to use the abrasive paste on top of. I'm going to rub this in with the lathe spinning. It's all nice and dry. And now I can go with the True Grit abrasive paste. Let's get some more. I'll use this one, and then I'll go on again with the ultra fine. Wow, that looks pretty good. It's not got a top coat on yet. Okay, I think I'm just going to put the top coat on at the end. So I'm going to set up for hollowing this out, and I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, we're all set up. I've had a measure. We're going to go down about 15.5 centimeters, which is just about there on my tool. So we're going to take it nice and easy, turn the speed down low, and we'll see how wide we can get this hole. Okay, that's the hollowing all nicely done. I'm now going to quickly sort out this neck, put a slight curve coming to the outside and sort out this rim, but the first thing I need to do is take this all away because my tool rests on the wrong side. Okay, that looks pretty good. Right, I'm going to quickly sand this. I'll bring you back in a second when that's done and we can put a final finish on the outside. Okay, that's all sorted. I'll just put a bit of finish on the inside so now we can worry about the outside. Now this is a mix of different waxes which I've just made up. A bit of Carnauba wax, a bit of beeswax, a little bit of microcrystalline, and quite a soft mix. We're going to put this on, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then we'll buff it off. Just let that sit. Okay, this is had long enough to sit, so we'll buff this in, and then we can take a look at what we've done. Okay, let's take a look. There we go. An almond resin vase. I started this project determined to see what it would take to get the resins to stay separate as opposed to all merging into one colour. And all it takes is for me to have a little bit more patience. As you can see, we've got the green and the coffee colours swirling around beautifully in there, and the same on this side as well. So all it takes is for me just to let the resin sit for an hour, 80 minutes, and it works beautifully. But we also learned a little bit more. I kind of came to the realization that I can't do everything, and nor should I try. The pressure was getting to me a little bit with all the house move and everything like that, and I was trying to rush this, and I do apologize. I wasn't doing the best job I could, so I stepped away, concentrated on the family and the house move, which is going very well, thank you very much, and then came back to this and finished it off, and in my opinion anyway, it's absolutely gorgeous. Huge thanks again to Let's Resin for providing the resin for these pieces. If you are interested in getting into resin turning, then there is a discount code in the description here when you can get 10% off. I think it's for Europe, for Canada and for America. Hopefully further afield will be available at some point soon. Okay, so anyway, if you've enjoyed this one, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe, all that kind of thing. And if you leave a comment as well, then you can be entered into the giveaway when we get to 2 years old, which is on the 16th of March. As I mentioned in the video I released last Sunday, I will do my best to get as many videos out as I can, but I'm not going to run into the same situation as I had with this one and start putting myself under too much pressure. It wasn't very enjoyable and I made a bit of a fool of myself, so I will continue to try and get videos out when I can. When I can't, I would really appreciate if you could like or share some of the old videos or watch them again, just to help keep the ad revenue coming in, to help with the movie. It all helps, and it's the ad revenue from YouTube that pays for this whole channel. Anyway, right, there we are. Thank you very much indeed, and I shall see you next time. Thank you.